Now, we are talking about Nigeria making a mistake to fight against the people who are bringing new ideas about change, about solutions to our crisis. But here I stand as an Afro Democrat. I stand here, Mr. Okocha, to put facts clear that the Nigerian government, it is, I can say, the British government in disguise inside the Nigerian land, because there's no such as president. If they were such as president, they would have brought solutions, or they would have not stand up, they would have not stood up, sorry, fighting against the people who are trying to bring solutions to our problems. Now,
sorry to cut you short. The issue here is because these people did not see what those people are bringing as solution. Because for me, if they see it as a solution to our calamity and long overdue problem we have in Africa, I think they could have listened to them. They saw, let me say, Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho in Nigeria. They are seeing them as a threat to their government. They are seeing them as a threat to democracy, not knowing that the true democracy is the government that belongs to the people. So, where I think that the federal government should have even listened to these people and work with them and understand why they are agitating is because every year our problem keeps on increasing. We are having problems every day. It keeps on improving. No matter what we do, no matter how we try to proffer solution, no matter how we conduct election from one election to the other, we see that these things are not improving. So I was thinking that this is enough evidence to know that this system is not working, so that we can listen to these people. If let us have this referendum and go to regional governments, or let us just go on our separate ways. But they are looking at these people as a threat, as people who are committing treasonable felony.
Mr. Okocha.
So I want you to highlight, to my understanding and the understanding of my viewers, the major mistakes that you cited that the federal government has made.
The major mistake right here, Mr. Okocha, is that us black people trying to change, to amend a dream of which we are not a dreamer. That is the concern right here. The Republic of Nigeria was conceived by a certain dreamer, a neo-colonist dreamer. In this case here is the United Kingdom. So they conceived that as one country, including Biafra in. So as it is packed that way, they are serving the interest of the West, actually, of the United Kingdom. So whoever try to go on secession will be like working against the British government. Now, we are looking at the Nigerian government as such, but I personally don't see it as a Nigerian government. It is the British government disguised into a Nigerian government. That is to say that...
So, you mean that the government we have in Nigeria is a British government in disguise?
That's it. I can also say, like the government in Senegal, it is the French government in disguise. It's simple to say that. That is to say, if we have political prisoners in Africa, they are not arrested by the government in place. They are not arrested by that African president, whom I'm calling here a brother, like in our context, brother Tinubu. He's not the one arresting his own brother, but it is the British government in disguise in that country arresting the person who's standing against his interest through a black man. That is to say, black on black, but it is not black on black. We have to see it through. It is a government, a Western government in disguise in that country that is arresting the people who are standing against their dream, knowing pretty well that those activists are not the dreamer. So it is not easy for them to change the dream of which they are not a dreamer. That is the case of brother leader Nnamdi Kanu. You see, he's standing to try to change a dream of which he's not a dreamer. Now,
are you trying to say that the British government are also fighting against Nnamdi Kanu?
That's
directly or indirectly.
That it is shocking to reveal that the British government has arrested their own citizen, because when I read the profile of Brother Kanu, is a Nigerian British citizen. So that is to say, the British government has arrested their own citizen in the name of a constitution, the law, through a certain black president who is actually representing the British government within the Nigerian soil. So we don't have governments as such in Africa. That is to say, even that our constitutions, as I said last time, they are copy-paste from constitutions of other countries, Western countries. So it is simple to say that if Brother Kanu, in this case here, was fighting for the interests of the United Kingdom, the United Kingdom could have made a lot of noise to have him released. But the moment he's still there, that is to say that he's fighting against the country of which he got the citizenship from. So which country is he fighting against? Because he's here in Nigeria. He's talking things against the Nigerian government. When you push your side beyond the curtain, you'll understand that the Nigerian government is just the British government in disguise that is actually standing for its own interests, not to have Biafra seceded from that, not to have Biafra as an autonomous land, but to still remain within the Nigerian government, the Nigerian Republic, as the dream of the neo-colonist. So that is the fact right here. I guess you got my point so far.
Yeah. I am getting your point. You know, sometimes I do think like this, like, why is it that the Britain, they are not showing more concern because someone who has their own passport has been detaining unjustly? I want to choose my statement. Unjustly. So if someone who is having their passport as citizen is being detained because of what he or she does, is a different case. But when Nigeria one, twice, three times, the fourth time, the fifth time, and they are still holding this person in detention unjustly, which is contrary to both Nigerian and international law, Britain did not speak. It is a signal, a red sign that Britain is against this movement, and Britain is also against either his release or his agitation. So I am beginning to see more light from what you are saying, not as if I don't have the idea of all these things, but before I was doubting my own thoughts that does it mean that Britain is fighting against these secession groups and so on and so forth?
They are
But
really
now
fighting.
I think I'm having more light. Yeah, I'm having more light on it now, understanding that this is just problem because we don't even know where the problems are coming. Imagine the last case at the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Supreme Court faulted the Nigerian government, says what you people did was wrong. The way you people kidnapped him from from Kenya and brought him into Nigeria does not go with the extradition law. So Supreme Court condemned everything they did against Kanu, including how soldiers in his house a day before he was to appear in court. But at the end, they said they should go to the lower court to try the judgment again.
That is the thing in action. That is to say that if it's just for a black man, black on black, there will be no one hating Brother Kanu at that magnitude. There will be no one doing that against him. But because the action of Brother Kanu and those surrounding him standing like someone trying to change a dream of which is not a dreamer, then he has to pay a certain price whereby it will seem like it is the Nigerian government taking actions against him. But here, as an Afro-Democrat, I will say that it is Britain through the Nigerian government, the so-called Nigerian government, because all African governments, they are not as such, but they represent the neo-colonist country that colonized them and that is still neo-colonizing them, and that is the voice of the West. As I keep saying, the presidency is our concern, it's our problem here. So Brother Kanu, to put it clear, was arrested in the name of the Republic of Nigeria, but the name of the Republic of Nigeria represents a dream of which the dreamer is the neo-colonist, and in the case of Nigeria, it is the United Kingdom. So if we have to put it simple, in a simple mathematical questions, it is Britain that arrested Brother Kanu. You see, and it's also Britain that is keeping in jail so that the secession of Biafra will not succeed. Now, if we have to go further, what is the purpose of going on referendum? It's simply because the leader, as such, Brother Kanu, is seeking for constitutional recognition to represent the people. He seeks for constitutional recognition to represent the people. That constitutional recognition is seeking that from, first of all, the Nigerian government. And that Nigerian government is not willing to recognize him as such. The reason why he was put in prison. But should the referendum goes on the first round, and should the result not satisfy actually the people, what can be suggested is to go and seek for the intervention of the EU. But when you look at the EU or the United Kingdom to intervene in Biafra, on behalf of the Biafra people who are seeking to be free from the corrupt Nigerian government, but here I stand to say that the Nigerian government is the EU is. It is the United Kingdom. So if the Nigerian government is not willing to give that constitutional recognitions on the personality of Brother Kanu, which means that even if they seek the assistance of the EU, they will never get that recognition, because the move of Brother Kanu is something like trying to amend a dream of which is not a dreamer. Now, if they move forward to go to the UN, the United Nations, to seek for recognition, here again we can see that the United Nations, it is the EU, it is Britain, so it is fruitless. I'm sorry to say that that referendum will throw some kind of pain in our hearts to see that there's a brother who's working in jail simply because he was trying to represent his people. But further, we cannot get any solutions from United Kingdom, from the EU, from the United Nations, because all those, they are the Nigerian government in disguise. They are in disguise. That is why, whereby when they kill people, when there's insecurity, as long that people are tired of the situation in Nigeria and they want to set themselves free, there is no one standing up and say, okay, we give you support. But in the issue of Somaliland, it went through, it's going well simply because Somaliland has been demonstrating to be in favor of the West. So when it is in favor of the West, it will go through and smoothly. But when it is not, the leader will end up arrested or whatsoever. I can even say that it is a kind of luck that Brother Kanu, it is a British Nigerian citizen, something like that. Otherwise, if he was just a Nigerian, he could be suffering more than what he's going through already. So that is to put it factually that way, that he's not arrested by the Nigerian government, but the order is all the way from Britain to shut his mouth up, so that the interest of the United Kingdom will not be threatened in Nigeria, like in their dream about Nigeria. Now, I can
Wow.
go further. First of all, about this issue of cessations whatsoever. In South Africa, there is a territory that is called Orania. Orania, that is white only territory. That has been granted to those white people. Now, that is to say that white only within a republic, and it has been granted to the way that they have their own regulations, administrations, even talking about their own currency within South Africa. But why did it work through? It's not because the government is willing, but let us put it clearly that all Africans are not African government as such, but they are the government of the colonizing country in disguise within that country. Now, when we look at that white territory within South Africa, it's called Orania. Orania means orange, and orange, it's the national color that represents the kingdom of the Netherlands. So it is simple. The people there who are the descendants of the Dutch people praising their king within the territory in Africa. And how did it go through? That is to say that because they are serving the interest of that Western country, and because the African government is not the government of Africans, but of a certain country that colonized it in the past, they just grant that. Okay, you can go further. You can go further. But if that was going against the interest of the West, I don't think that land would have been given just as white-only territory. Now, we also have the same issue right now in South Africa, whereby they're talking about the Western Cape trying to break free from the Republic as such. They want to be their own country. Now, the people in South Africa keep saying that will never go through, that will never go through. But I have to be cautious about that. I have to be concerned about that and ask myself a question. When they're trying to break free from the Republic, whose interest are they going to serve? Is it them breaking free? Are they serving the interest of the white, or are they against those interests? If they're serving the interest of the white, then the chances are high for them to succeed. That is what we have to understand. In the context of Western Cape in South Africa, it is white-led province. In that case already, we can see that they are close to the West. They even stand up against Russia invading Ukraine. So that is Europe within Africa. So if they push for the cessation of that land, chances are very high that they will succeed. That is a bracket about South Africa. Now, when we try to compare that to Biafra, Biafra is standing against the Nigerian government. The Nigerian government is British government in disguise within that African land. So when they are standing against the Nigerian government, they are indirectly standing against the British. So we'll not be surprised if that referendum will not bring suitable expected result to the Biafrans. I will not be surprised about that. So before we go in that quest, we have to ask ourselves questions. Whose interests are we going to serve after this? If it is against the West, then it's much better for us to find the solutions among ourselves. But if it's for the world, then that is easy. We can achieve that so easily. That's the context right now here.
Wow, I have to ask you a very important question, and
Yes,
I
Mr. Okocha.
need a swift answer. But before that, I think I can categorically tell you that these agitations in Nigeria, they are not serving the interests of the West, especially the European Union, the United Kingdom. Because I believe if they are serving their interests, long time they could have gone. That is the truth. They could have gone long time ago. I remember short history of Nigerian and Biafra war, when Biafra declared independence in the past, when they fought the war. You know, Great Britain was supplying Nigeria weapon to fight the Biafra. You understand? So I think it was only the Israeli came. They did not come to fight the war, but they came to supply food for the Biafrans.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Then the Egypt was working with Great Britain,
Yes.
sending their pilots to bomb Biafran land. So this was documented in history I read, because I was not born then. So I'm talking from history I read. Now, what you are saying is now being connected to this history. That when these people left, Britain fought Biafra indirectly. And today, Nnamdi Kanu, as a British citizen, is detained unjustly, and Britain is mute. And you connecting Nigeria government, like Nigeria government is now a clone. Inside them is the British government.
That's it. All
so
African countries.
There is a great opposition. Now, the question I want to ask you, that I just want the answer from your own perspective and experience in this journey of Afro democracy in your African order. What do you think that the Biafrans should do?
Well, thank you for this question. Now, here to answer your questions, I'm going to ask upon the responsibilities of traditional leaders. Mr. Okocha, where are the Oba, the Oni, the Alake, the Uwajale, the Igwe of the Biafra lands? Where are they? Let them rise up. Let them rise up. Here we are talking about Nnamdi Kanu as the leader. But there's something I have to say, that the African country it's a country system. It's a system. So Biafra seceded as a republic, having different ethnicities in, even though you get along, even though it is predominantly inhabited by Igbos, but because of the cultural difference, just give it time, there will be some kind of internal conflict, whether we like it or not. All around power, there will be some kind of internal conflict. So I believe that today's ethnic minority could be a threat tomorrow. It could be tomorrow's threat, let me put it that way, to the ethnic majority, whether we like it or not. Today's ethnic minority could be tomorrow's threat to the ethnic majority. So to avoid that, we have to give each and everyone a voice. We have to give each and everyone a voice. Let it not be that, okay, the Igbos are predominantly in Biafra, so it is their business, we'll follow them suit. No. But all of them must be on equal ground as traditional leaders, as I was calling here, Oba, Oni, the Igwe, all of them. Let them come together and represent a council. Why am I saying that? Because Brother Kanu stood up as an activist, as a politician, to seek for constitutional recognition to represent the people of Biafra. And that is being denied to him. But Mr. Okocha, I've been doing research about Nigeria and about the traditional leaders as a whole in Africa. Those people don't need constitutional recognition to represent the people. Yeah, they don't need that. So if Brother Kanu is seeking that recognition through a referendum, traditional leaders have it already from the time the republic was established. They have it there from the beginning.
Well, another challenge, sorry to cut you short, because this is very important. The traditional rulers, their power has been neutralized by the political powers, in the sense that a traditional ruler, a politician can, dominate him, threaten him, use money to influence people against him, to silence his voice. So it is a political problem still affecting these traditional rulers. How do you think that they can escape from this dungeon?
The bottom line is the traditional leaders are given benefit by the politicians.
Of course,
and those benefits they're getting is what is shutting them out. But here I'm reminding you, Mr. Okocha, while a leader, black like you and me, like in the case of Brother Kanu, is seeking for constitutional recognition to represent us, the traditional leader does not need that. That is to say that the presidency, whether it is the so-called Nigerian government or the British government in disguise within Nigeria, recognize the power, the influence of the traditional leader to represent us without a constitutional mandate, because they've been doing that already. They've been doing that already. The traditional leaders represent the law of the republic within our communities. Who voted for them? Nobody. But they
Nobody.
have that authority on them without any referendum, without any whatsoever. Just that they are misusing their power just by the fact that they've been given benefit whatsoever. But when you look at our history and our origin, there is no politician above the traditional leader. The politician is there by means of a referendum, but the traditional leader has been there by means of universal will that established the power on him from his ancestors. So he has the last and final words over that land. When the people are being killed, he has the power to stand and represent those people without any need of a constitutional referendum, because he's given that mandate, and even the British will recognize that this one here has the power to represent the people. He does not need any constitutional mandate to do that. So let all those traditional leaders, whether the Oba, the Oni, the Alake, the Eburu, according to Nigerian traditional title
Yeah.
whatsoever, let them come together. As long as they're from Biafra, nobody should be above another. There's nothing like because it is predominantly inhabited by Igbo, so it is the Igbo matter. No, all of them must come together and make what I call a council of leadership and speak in one voice to the government and even to the judge, even to the court of law. By so doing, they can even have Brother Kanu released in no time, because Brother Kanu actually was trying to do their mandate. Brother Kanu was trying to do the job of the traditional leaders, which is wrong. Do you see that? So Brother Kanu is paying the price of a certain group of traditional leaders who are not doing what is necessarily what they are called for. So let them stand up, at least to help him be set free. Let them constitute what is a council of leadership and contact the government to do what is right, so that actually we want our land free. We want this secession to happen. We want our
Wow.
that will go through, and it's even a shortcut. Why I'm saying that is a shortcut, because where Brother Kanu is seeking for constitutional recognition, they don't need that. Where Brother Kanu needs a referendum, they don't need that. Today, if Brother Kanu stand up and says, I'm representing the people, they'll ask him who gave him that mandate. But the traditional leaders together, if they say that, nobody will ask them that, because they don't need that to represent the people. Taking account that they've been doing that long ago, but they've been silenced by benefits, money, whatsoever, making the politician look superior to them while they're not. The
Wow.
person to whom
If
they
you're
want to
enjoying
listen
this
is the
video,
one who got power over anyone. That's
if
it.
you enjoy, if you're enjoying this video, please, I want you to check the description section. This man is the author of Afro Democracy, the New African Order. His book is all about why democracy is not working in Africa. That book has the solution to the problem the Africans are facing now. Mr. Clavis Johnson, you are just enlightening my mind. You are enlightening you are enlightening so many things that I have been thinking about the problem we are having in Africa. Now, we are having a current social political crisis in Nigeria, inflation. As I talk to you today, 1 euro is equivalent to 1,700 naira.
Oh.
Before Buhari assumed office, it was about 200 naira. Buhari left about 700 naira to 1 euro. Just the period of 10 months that this man, Bola Tinubu, assumed office, it has fallen into 1,700. Because of that, everything has skyrocketed in the market. The poor can no longer feed. A teacher that is being paid. Imagine Nigeria military. If they are being recruited newly Nigerian police, they are being paid 50,000 naira. And as I talk to you today, a bag of rice is 80,000. 30,000 naira different. Their salary cannot buy a bag of rice. It has gotten to this, and people have started protesting, and people, including the senior advocate, the senior lawyers, they are now calling for a social revolution. And there is no doubt about it, it is going to happen. But my question is, what is the relevance of this political revolution? Because including me, everything to happen. If you go to the street, lawyer and a senior advocate in Nigeria as well. He was saying that during Abacha regime, Abacha was one of the worst military leaders in Nigeria. And he was referring that Abacha regime is now better than the present regime. This is a catastrophe. I don't just know the adjective to quantify what Nigerians are feeling now. The pains, the bag of cement is 10,000. If you are a teacher, you can't build a house in Nigeria. If you are working for government, unless you embezzle the fund, you can't build a house in Nigeria. So things have gotten to this extent. Do you think that a solution could come out from this social revolution?
First of all, Mr. Okocha, when we go on revolution, I really support the revolution, but let it not be in the context of trying to amend a dream of which we are not a dreamer.
That is of which purpose the revolution will serve. Because you have lectured me enough today. Of which purpose? In other words, any move you want to carry it out, we have to ask question: what will be the end result?
To answer that question, I'll bring in Brother Obasanjo, Olusegun Obasanjo. I'm calling that brother because of the skin color, but I know that's the authority. So when I'm calling brother, is in reference to the skin color. I'll bring him in. He is a big fish, a military leader, a former president of Nigeria. I can say a big fish who's been deep in the water, and by being there, he saw what me and you on the ground surface couldn't see what is deep down there. When he came out, he announced to us that, guys, coming from the depth of the waters, I believe that Western democracy, it's not what we want. We want Afro democracy.
Obasanjo said so. And when he said that, people were shocked. You know why people were shocked? This is a man that has led Nigeria as a military man. He has led Nigeria 8 years as a democratic elected president. And after that, he came out to say, the democracy is not working.
That is a prophet, I can say. That is a social political prophet. As I keep saying, the president in the presidency is not himself. He cannot lead according to his aspiration. So he has to say what is being told to say. That's the point right here. The presidency, anyway, that is cut short. Now that he's free, he's in his 80s, I guess, he has nothing to lose. We have to take such a personality because he said, like, before I'm gone, let me at least give the light to the people. And he did that exactly the way he said it. But what I read after that on the newspaper in Nigeria, all over, they were just criticizing him. I am not surprised about that because Nigeria as such is the dream of the neo-colonist. So they have to come out criticizing such a man who is telling the truth to the people, because by taking that truth and applying it in our societies, the dream of the neo-colonists will fade away. So they had to come out to criticize him. But if we are wise enough, we must understand that he's been there, as you said, military leader, democratically elected. What do we think that he didn't see? That he couldn't speak by then because the presidency is foreign to us. Now that he's telling us that truth, we have to follow it up. And that is a context of a revolution. If we have to go on revolution right now, we have to do things in the way that we take democracy out, because that is the dream of the neo-colonists. We cannot change it by trying to amend anything because we are not the dreamer. We did not dream about democracy in the context of the republic. We did not dream about the Republican Constitution. We did not dream about the central government. That is the dream of the neo-colonists. And us, we come in trying to amend. That's why we are failing. So if we have to make it true, we have to go through revolution, as we're saying, but do away with democracy, constitutional Republican constitutions, and all those structures we know that are from the West. That is in the way that we can succeed. So let there be a revolution, not to elect somebody as the president of the republic and the central government, but to bring about regionalism in that context, a kind of federalism that will be in respect to our values, as Mr. Obasanjo was trying to say in the context of Afro-democracy. And such a context of Afro-democracy is the context of my book as well. We need a model of democracy that will represent our tradition and respect that. That is to say, no one should be above another, if especially is not from that tribe or from a different far tribe whatsoever. That's simple. So going through revolution, we need to think about the political system that is proudly African. Now, if I have to press something from what you're saying, the price of food, whatsoever, skyrocketing, whatsoever, I keep saying here that regime change, political regime change, is not the hope of the people. It went from the worst, the so-called worst Abacha you were saying here, but now things
Honestly,
are just getting so bad
honestly,
day to day.
from my own experience,
We've been
honestly,
going
from my
through
own
getting
experience,
change, but things are not changing. That is to say that it's not about the
yeah,
men who lead, but it's about the dreamer,
the system.
the person who dreamed about Nigeria to be as such. That is the person who made that system. Here is Britain. Simple as that. He's the one who's deciding the social political roadmap that as we have to face the people and to keep us as third worldly, as impoverished as well. They have to make it sure so that we can leave our countries, we can leave our lands, and the moment to do that, they are bringing, minorities, foreigners who occupy our lands, so that they can do as they wish. Because day to day, they can see that Africans are rising, they are waking up. So how can we
Of
drive
course.
them out of their lands? Is by making life, a living hell. So what do? You pack your things and then go on migration, go and give yourself in the West. And when you go to the West as well, you are ill-treated, undocumented, left out in the street, all those kind of things. So basically, the very same government we are running from to the West is the very same government as well, going to
Sorry to
to
cut you
let us
short.
down there.
Sorry to cut you short.
Clavis.
This same man that I am telling you about, Femi Falana, the senior advocate of Nigeria, the
Yes,
human rights lawyer,
yes,
he was on our channel television yesterday,
yeah.
our national television. He said that Nigeria should ignore IMF, should ignore World Bank,
Yeah.
that they should join BRICS
Mm-hmm.
so that they can trade their oil and everything in Naira.
Uh-huh.
That it is against our own norms to continue to trade our products in dollar.
Mm-hmm.
We are not using dollar as our national currency.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing international transfers, international transactions in dollar?
Mm-hmm.
So he was saying that Nigeria should go and join BRICS, that we cannot be more Catholic than the Pope, that the Brazil, the Argentina, the Russia, South Africa, that
Yeah.
they have joined BRICS, that what are we still doing? What do you have to say about that?
Okay, now here is a black enlightened personality of that Mr. Falan talking about, saying what is meaningful. But I've said it in the beginning of this interview that the Nigerian government is actually Britain, just in disguise within the land they call Nigeria as their neo-colonist dream that nobody else can come and change as long they are not a dreamer. Now, he is saying something that way, not being the dreamer. If they are selling whatsoever using dollar as the currency, because it is from the dreamer's will to put it that way. So for him to advise Nigeria to join the BRICS, not being the dreamer, that is a context in which we have to stand and push our thinking further and realize that it cannot just succeed, taking in account that it goes from the presidency, which is foreign to us. It goes from the central government, which is not the Nigerian government in this context, but the British government in disguise. So by going and joining BRICS, we are actually moving, serving against the interest of the dreamer, Britain. So that cannot be achievable. That is how we must be looking at this context. Now, what is making us fail in each and every step that is really benefiting us? It is the central government. The central government is foreign to us. If we have to move forward, we have to take that context of the central government out. We have to close the presidency. I keep saying that all black African countries must close the presidencies because that is what makes the presidency or the central government foreign to us, representing our
Correct.
neo-colonizing country. So we cannot just
Yeah.
move to BRICS like that in that context.
Yeah.
It
Let
will
me
be a
come
big
in this way.
challenge, even though it's a great idea.
You are an African.
Yeah.
You are from South Africa. Do you perceive Nigeria to be the problem of Africa? That is number one question.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because the three military-led countries that left COAS recently,
Yeah.
there was a memo to that effect. In
Yeah.
that memo, in paragraph 2,
Mhm.
they specify something so there. They said the purpose why they created ECOWAS, that Nigeria led other West African countries to leave the purpose of ECOWAS. That ECOWAS is not made to serve the West and obey the West against their own people. And Traore cited in that memo from Burkina Faso that the treaty they had with Nigeria, he was talking about Niger and Nigeria. that the military coup has nothing to do with the treaty when Tinubu went and cut the electricity.
Mhm.
And after 1 week, immediately, 7 days after they withdrew
Yeah.
from ECOWAS,
Yeah.
Niger placed ban on Nigeria. There is no flight coming to Nigeria that can pass the air
Yeah.
of Niger.
Yeah.
This is a big problem because if I'm coming to Nigeria, I must pass through Niger. Unless I have to buy ticket now to Cotonou, Benin Republic, because they will not allow any plane
Mm.
coming to Nigeria. And
Mm.
no plane will move from Niger to Nigeria or
Mm.
from Nigeria to Niger.
Mhm.
This is a diplomatic disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
One man caused this, Tinubu.
Okay.
When he assumed office, he
Okay.
boasted.
I'll
He
let-
said, I will not tolerate coup.
I'll-
But here are the people who knew that you carried out a political coup to enter the office. You say you will not allow coup. And after like 7 days, he made that statement. The Niger coup happened. So they dared him to do what you want to do. So the Britain and the France, they promised him everything to the extent that they imported their ammunition to Ghana
Mhm.
to invade Niger. But Africans stood up.
Mhm.
I love Africans. We stood up against the agenda of the West,
Yeah.
working with ECOWAS to carry out military intervention.
Mm.
The tension, the pressure was too much. That if they have done that, the people will rise against them. So that was how they withdrew. So the reason why I asked you this question, I want you to answer me from the plainness of
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
Did you perceive Nigeria as a problem
Well,
of Africa?
well, as a black man, I will never charge my fellow black brother for any trouble, social political trouble, in Africa. I'll never charge my fellow black man for any geopolitical crisis in Africa. That is impossible. First of all, I keep saying all black African presidents are illegitimate. That I will never hide it. All black African presidents are illegitimate. They are serving in a presidency that is not for the people. The central government is the government of that particular Western country, new colonizing country, is representing itself in our country in disguised in the name of the central government of such a particular African country. Now, if today we have that issue with Nigeria and other Western African countries, it is not actually Brother Tinubu that I don't want to call president, because the presidency is the presidential homology. It's a lie. So here I'm saying that Brother Tinubu is not the one who's at fault about the crisis going on in the western part of Africa. No, all the troubles going there, insecurity, whatsoever, terrorist attack, whatsoever, it is in the context of Nigeria, of course, it is Britain in disguise in Nigeria as the Nigerian federal government, whatsoever, pushing for that trouble, but hiding behind a black man who's Brother Tinubu right now here, so that they can say it is black on black. But it is not Nigeria is the problem. No, it is not Nigeria is the problem. It is the central government, the presidency. If the presidency of Nigeria could not exist, all the issues going on around there, all the sanctions they put on Niger, on Burkina Faso, Mali, wouldn't have been put there. Who's that black man who put his fellow black man in that position? If it's not the white skinned person behind the black man trying to destabilize us. That's so simple to get right there. So we should just move away from the fact that Nigeria is the problem. Nigeria is not the problem, but it is the force that infiltrated our leadership, pushing us to that point. That's clear.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow, wow, wow. This is a mind-blowing exposition you have done today. You have done a very great job. And we'll be expecting you on this platform.
Mhm.
If it will be possible, I think this contest is so voluminous. It's voluminous in the sense that we're supposed to be dealing with this almost every day.
Mhm.
To enlighten people, to make them to understand the structural default of Nigeria, that Nigeria is already, it has a default to fill. There is a system that they have set that this nation cannot progress. It will retrogress.
That's it.
So thank you so much. We are happy, and I believe my viewers will enjoy this so well. I believe they're enjoying it. Now, as I said before, please go to the description section and look for this book. Click on the link and have a copy. The Afro Democracy, the New African Order. He is Clavis Gael Johnson from South Africa. He's an amazing guy who wants Africa to be liberated from this Western democratic system that is not favoring us. Johnson, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Okocha.
Hope to see you on our next
Anytime,
broadcast.
anytime.
Thank you so much.
All right.